If you're a buyer looking to make a move in this market, you need to know these important things before you get started.
The number one is the RPR. Joe, can you explain a little bit what a RPR is?
Of course.
So everybody understands.
An RPR is simply a real property report, and any property you pick that should have an RPR. An RPR shows all the structures on your lot relative to the property boundaries, and if they actually follow municipal bylaws and if they're compliant.
Can you tell us why is that important? What problems can we avoid if we have an RPR in hand?
Well, like I said, an RPR gives you a complete survey of where your property exactly is located in the lot, right, relative to the property line. Plus, let's say if you have a fence or a deck or a shed, or if there's any encroachments onto your property or onto your neighbor's property. So you get an idea where the structures are, and you need to know if city is giving you a compliant seal in order to make sure that you're legally permitted to have that structure.
And what advice would you tell your buyer so we make sure they understand everything? What are they looking for in this report?
So when you receive an RPR, the few things that you should be looking onto it first is easements, right-of-ways, and encroachments. And plus, you need to make sure that you have a municipal compliance seal, allowing you to have everything in place. So usually you receive an RPR at closing, right? It doesn't have to be like that. You could always request the seller's realtor to hand it over if they have it with them, because it helps in giving a complete idea where the property boundaries and the structures are. Plus, it helps you with the negotiation process. If there's something to deal with at the end of the transaction, it's kind of too late to deal with it, right? I mean, lawyers would take care of it, but it's too late still. But if you have it beforehand, while you're offering the property a price, you could do the price adjustments if there's something that is coming up, right? Also, having an RPR, it's a seller's duty, but it could be both ways. Usually, we expect the sellers to give the RPR. So if you're a seller, please prepare yourself to apply for a new RPR up to date with a compliant seal.
And if you are a buyer, ask your realtor to ask for an RPR.
So Jose, apart from RPR, what do you think is the other important things your buyer should be knowing before making a move?
So for me, one of the main things that we need to do when we send an offer, we set up conditions. One of the conditions is inspection. And it means that we are going to hire a professional inspector who is going to get into the property, is going to do a proper and thorough inspection of the house. And actually, what they do is they send us a report on the end of the day or the next day where they're going to explain in detail what needs to be done right away, what can be done through the years. So this way we know what are we getting into. Because sometimes there's some problems that we cannot see, and they say, well, that looks perfect. Yeah. But it's just with your eye, it's difficult. They have the tools, they have the knowledge, and they will be back with a thorough report so we can decide if we want to continue with this a deal, or we can cut that deal right now based on the report.
It is very important to have the property inspection in place, especially when you are a first-time home buyer. You might not know most of the property mechanical parts and how much it's going to cost you. And also, please make sure that you ask enough questions with the property inspection team so you get the answers before moving into the property.
Can you tell us a little bit about comparables and why are they important for us as a buyer or as a seller?
Yeah, so regardless of you dealing with a seller who wants to list the property in this market or the buyer who wants to buy, there is something called as the price point in that specific market. Your property could be worth different in let's say fall or let's say winter. So if you know which is the time frame that you want to make a move, the comparable could have a different impact on the price point. But when a seller is approaching you and he is looking to sell his property, let's say at this market, how do you actually decide the price point?
So first of all, we have access to all the data. So we are going to look for similar properties in the area. If there's sometimes can be on the same street, or we can go as the boundary as a community, right? If there's nothing around in the last, I don't know, 3 months, we can go as far as 6 months to see if there's something similar. Even though it's not the same market, we can adjust that that percentage to the actual market.
You mean to say if there's no actual comparison, or if it's impossible to find an actual comparison too close by to the property, you can always expand the search?
That's correct. So you were asking me about when a seller approach, but what would you do if a buyer approach and he wants to know if the price is right for a certain property that they're looking for?
Well, if I'm helping a buyer find a property, the same way, I look for comparables. I would look for similar properties. Let's say if it's a bungalow that we are looking to buy, I would look for bungalows sold in the neighborhood from past 2 months, right? And then I look for number of bedrooms, location, what street they're headed to, and then what are the access points from that definite subject property, and how it is compared to the properties that are sold in the neighborhood from past 2 months. And sometimes you don't get enough comparables from 2 months prior to the subject.
That's correct.
Right? So you just have to expand it. Sometimes you might have to look for prices from past couple months, and then if it's dropped down, you just adjust the price point while you buy the property.
So it's basically the same. It's just you need to adjust as
yeah, the algorithm is same, and well, it depends, right? The market, like the property might sell for a certain price point in a spring market, which is super good for sellers. Well, and then if you're hitting a summer, and if the market has tanked a little bit, you just need to adjust the price.
Yeah, so using the data, we can use the data on our advantage when we're
it's always the recent solds will give you 90% of the idea what price point you should be offering while you buy a property, right? Rest is the condition of the property. Like the comparables we see is through the pictures and the sold ones, right? If it's active, you can go take a look and you can know why the property is priced at that certain price point. And when you see the property, the subject property with your buyer, you kind of get to know.
And you can make adjustments
100%, yes.
in real life, in real time,
true.
right? Thank you so much for that information. I think it's valuable, and I hope it's valuable for you guys too.
Sure. Any questions you may have regards to RPR, property inspection, or price points, and what market is the best market for you to make a move, please do reach out.
Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share.
See you soon.